The rain came down in thin silver lines outside the hospital window, blurring the city into something soft and distant. Lily stood still, one hand pressed against her stomach, the other clutching a folded piece of paper so tightly her knuckles had gone white. The fluorescent lights above her hummed quietly, indifferent to the way her entire life had just shifted. 3 months. That was all it said. 3 months pregnant. Her breath trembled as she let out a silent laugh that sounded more like a sob. Somewhere down the hall, a baby cried. Lily closed her eyes, and the past came rushing back like a door she had tried so hard to keep shut. Before we go any further, tell me, where are you watching from right now? It still amazes me how one story can reach so many hearts at once. Drop your city or country in the comments. Let's remind each other that none of us are ever truly alone. Lily hadn't planned for any of this. Not the pregnancy. Not the memory that burned brightest in her mind. Ethan standing in the dim kitchen of his apartment, sleeves rolled up, eyes tired but kind. Back then, she was just his assistant, the quiet one who stayed late and never complained. He was her boss, a single dad juggling meetings and parent-teacher conferences, always leaving work early on Fridays to pick up his daughter, Ava. That night had been a mistake. Or at least, that's what Lily told herself over and over again. It happened after the company's winter fundraiser. Music echoed through the hotel ballroom, laughter spilling into corners where secrets hid easily. Lily remembered the way Ethan had looked at her when everyone else had left. Not like a boss, not like a man in charge, but like someone unbearably lonely. One drink turned into two. A shared joke turned into silence thick with meaning. And then, a kiss that felt like relief. They never spoke of it again. The next morning, Ethan was distant, professional. Lily was grateful for that. She told herself it was over, buried neatly under spreadsheets and deadlines. Life went on. Or so she thought. Explaining that to herself made it true. Until the nausea started. At first, Lily blamed stress. Long hours. Cheap takeout. But when the mornings grew unbearable and the calendar betrayed her with its quiet counting, fear crept in. The test confirmed what her heart already knew. And now, standing in the hospital hallway, that truth felt heavier than anything she had ever carried. She didn't tell Ethan. Not that day. Not the next week either. Instead, she watched him from a careful distance. Watched the way he knelt to tie Ava's shoes when she visited the office. Watched the way his smile softened whenever his daughter laughed. Ethan wasn't just a boss, he was a good father. And that made everything harder. Lily's apartment felt smaller with every passing day. At night, she lay awake staring at the ceiling, one hand resting over the faintest curve of her stomach. Her mind replayed questions she was too afraid to ask. Would he believe her? Would he think she was trying to trap him? Would this ruin Ava's life? 3 months passed like that, in silence. Then one evening, everything unraveled. It was late. The office lights were dim, most desks empty. Lily was packing her bag when Ethan appeared at her doorway. His face looked pale, tense, as if he had been carrying something heavy for far too long. "Lily, do you have a minute?" he asked. Her heart skipped. Of course. He closed the door behind him, hands shoved into his pockets. For a moment, he just stood there, staring at the floor. When he finally spoke, his voice was low, raw. "There's something I need to tell you. And I should have said it months ago." Lily felt the room tilt. That night after the fundraiser, Ethan continued, swallowing hard, "I haven't stopped thinking about it. About you. I tried to pretend it didn't matter, but it did. It still does." Her breath caught. The words she had practiced 100 times disappeared. "I'm not good at this," he said with a sad smile. "I'm a single dad. I mess things up. But I didn't want you thinking you were just a mistake." Silence filled the space between them, thick and fragile. Lily's hands trembled as she reached into her bag. She unfolded the paper slowly, as if dragging out the moment might soften the blow. Ethan's eyes followed every movement. "I was going to tell you," she whispered. "I just didn't know how." He looked confused. "Tell me what?" She met his gaze, tears blurring her vision. "Ethan, I'm pregnant." The air seemed to leave the room all at once. His face drained of color. For a long second, he didn't speak. Lily braced herself for anger, disbelief, rejection. Her heart pounded so loudly she could barely hear her own thoughts. 3 months, she added quietly. I just found the courage to say it. Ethan sank into the chair behind him, hands covering his face. When he looked up again, his eyes were shining, not with fury, but with something dangerously close to fear. My God, he breathed. Lily. She waited for him to pull away, to say this was too much. Instead, he stood up, slowly, as if afraid he might scare her. You should have told me, he said softly. But, thank you for telling me now. Tears slipped down Lily's cheeks, her walls finally breaking. And as the rain continued to fall outside, neither of them noticed the hours passing, only that something irreversible had begun. The choice, the pain, the hope, all of it was just starting. Ethan didn't step back. He didn't raise his voice. That alone felt like a small miracle. He reached for the edge of Lily's desk instead, grounding himself, as if the room might slide away if he didn't hold on to something solid. His eyes moved to her stomach, not staring, not accusing, just acknowledging a reality he was still trying to understand. You're sure? He asked quietly. Lily nodded. The doctor confirmed it today. A long breath left him. He paced once, then stopped. When he finally looked at her again, there was no trace of the man who ran meetings with sharp precision. This was Ethan stripped bare. A father, a man, someone afraid of failing again. I need to sit, he murmured, almost embarrassed by the admission. She pulled out the chair for him without thinking. He noticed. His lips pressed together, gratitude flickering across his face. That small moment, her instinct to care for him even while terrified herself, changed the air between them. If you were standing there watching this unfold, what would you have done? Would you speak first, or wait in silence like they did? Share your honest thought in the comments. And if this moment stirred something in you, tap like. Sometimes empathy doesn't need words. Ethan finally spoke. I want you to know something before anything else, he said. I'm not running. I don't know what this means yet, but I'm here. Lily's chest tightened. She hadn't realized how much she'd been bracing for abandonment until those words cracked something open inside her. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to ruin your life, she admitted. You already have Ava. You already carry so much. He looked up sharply. Don't decide my limits for me. His tone wasn't harsh, just honest. You don't get to protect me by hurting yourself, he added gently. I should have been part of this from the beginning. Tears spilled freely now. Lily wiped them away with the back of her hand, embarrassed. Ethan reached for a tissue box and slid it toward her, stopping just short of touching her fingers. The restraint said more than any embrace could have. That night, they didn't solve anything. There were no promises, no plans. Just two adults sitting in an office long past closing time, letting truth breathe for the first time. When Lily finally left, the city was quiet. Streetlights reflected off wet pavement like scattered stars. She walked home slowly, every step heavy but oddly steadier than before. The next morning, everything felt different. Ethan was earlier than usual. He brought coffee. 2 cups. He placed one on her desk without a word, the way he used to do when deadlines crushed her. 1 sugar. He remembered. Throughout the day, he checked in, not hovering, not patronizing, just present. When a meeting ran long, he told her to sit. When a client grew impatient, he stepped in. Lily noticed how carefully he moved around her, like someone learning a fragile language. It made her heart ache in ways she couldn't explain. At lunchtime, Ava came by unexpectedly. Her school had ended early, and Ethan had forgotten to warn Lily. Ava burst into the office with the unfiltered energy of a child who still believed adults could fix anything. She stopped short when she saw Lily tilting her head. Dad, she whispered loudly, she's pretty. Ethan froze. Lily laughed despite herself. Hi, Ava, Lily said softly. Ava smiled, then ran to Ethan's side, gripping his hand. Lily watched the way Ethan's shoulders relaxed instantly, the way fatherhood lived in his posture. That was when the guilt hit her hardest. Later that afternoon, Ethan found Lily staring out the window. You okay? He asked. She nodded, though it wasn't entirely true. "She's wonderful." "She is," he agreed. Then, after a pause, "and this doesn't take away from her. Or from you." Lily turned to him. "What if she hates me someday?" "She won't," he said without hesitation. "And if she ever struggles, we'll help her through it." The words settled between them, tentative but real. But life doesn't wait for people to feel ready. That evening, Lily's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. When she opened it, her stomach dropped. "We need to talk. I know about the pregnancy." No name. No explanation. Just fear crawling up her spine. She locked her phone and looked up to see Ethan watching her, concern etched into his face. "Something wrong?" he asked. Lily swallowed. "I think things are about to get complicated." And she had no idea how much truth those words carried. The message stayed with Lily all night, glowing behind her closed eyes like a warning she couldn't silence. She barely slept, waking every hour with her hand pressed to her stomach, as if shielding the tiny life inside her from words already spoken elsewhere. By morning, fear had sharpened into resolve. She arrived at work early, hoping for a few quiet minutes to think, but Ethan was already there. He stood by the window, phone in hand, jaw tight. When he turned and saw her, something unspoken passed between them, the shared understanding that the fragile bubble they'd built was thinning. "Did you get any strange messages?" he asked carefully. Her heart sank. "You too?" He nodded once. "My ex-wife called last night. Grace." The name landed hard. Lily had heard it before, always spoken gently, like a bruise Ethan never pressed. Grace, Ava's mother. The woman who had left, who had chosen a different life, who now, apparently, knew everything. She said she heard it from someone at the fundraiser, Ethan continued. "Someone saw us leave together. And now she thinks this changes things." Lily's chest tightened. "Does it?" Ethan looked at her, really looked at her. "It already has." They didn't have time to say more. The day rushed in like a tide. Calls, meetings, deadlines that didn't care about secrets or unborn children. Lily tried to focus, but every vibration of her phone made her flinch. At noon, the unknown number texted again. "Meet me. Cafe on 9th, 3 p.m. No threats. No kindness. Just expectation." She didn't tell Ethan at first. Not because she didn't trust him, but because part of her needed to face this alone. She needed to know who was pulling at the edges of her life. The cafe was small and crowded, warm with the smell of coffee and rain-soaked coats. Lily spotted her immediately. Grace sat by the window, hands folded neatly around a mug she hadn't touched. She was beautiful in a quiet, exhausted way, the kind of beauty shaped by years of disappointment rather than youth. When she looked up and saw Lily, her eyes filled with something unreadable. "You're younger than I imagined," Grace said softly. Lily swallowed. "Ava's mom." Grace nodded. "I am. Or I was, depending on who you ask." They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of their shared connection pressing down on the table between them. "I didn't come to threaten you," Grace said finally. "I came because I needed to see you. To understand." "Understand what?" Lily asked, voice barely steady. Grace exhaled. "How he moved on." Lily's chest ached. "I never meant to be part of something unfinished." Grace laughed bitterly. "Nothing is ever finished, Lily. We just stopped talking about it." She stirred her coffee at last. "When I left Ethan, I thought I was doing the right thing. I wanted freedom. I didn't want to feel trapped by responsibility anymore. And now," her voice broke, "now I see him building something new, and it hurts more than I expected." Lily listened, torn between guilt and compassion. "Have you ever had someone show up for you when no one else would?" Grace asked suddenly, eyes lifting. "If you have, you know how hard it is to let that go. If someone like that ever changed your life, type yes in the comments and say their name. Gratitude has a way of traveling farther than pain ever could." Grace leaned back. "I won't lie, I'm scared. For Ava. For myself. For you too." "Then why are you here?" Lily asked. "Because I don't want to repeat my mistakes," Grace said. "I don't want to disappear again and regret it forever." The words lingered, heavy with history. When Lily returned to the office, Ethan was waiting. He didn't ask where she'd been. He just looked at her face and knew. "She met you," he said. "Yes." "And?" "She's hurting," Lily replied. "Just like we are." Ethan rubbed his temples. "I never wanted this to become a battlefield." "It doesn't have to be," Lily said. "But we can't pretend it won't change things." That evening, Ava overheard a whispered conversation she wasn't meant to hear. "Dad?" she called from the hallway. "Are you mad?" Ethan knelt immediately, pulling her close. "No, sweetheart. Never at you." Ava hesitated, then asked the question that cracked Lily's heart wide open. "Is Lily going to leave too?" Lily stepped forward before she could stop herself. She crouched to Ava's level, eyes gentle. "I'm not going anywhere." Ava studied her, then smiled and wrapped her arms around Lily's neck. The hug was small, trusting, devastating in its innocence. Later that night, Lily cried alone in her apartment, realizing love was no longer simple. It was layered now. Fragile. And somewhere, just beneath the fear, something else stirred. Hope, quiet, stubborn, and waiting to be tested. Hope didn't arrive loudly. It slipped in through small moments, Ethan texting to ask if Lily had eaten, Ava insisting Lily help with her homework, Grace sending a short message that simply said thank you for meeting me. None of it erased the tension, but it softened the sharpest edges. Still, the world outside their fragile circle wasn't kind. Whispers began at work. A glance held a second too long. A pause when Lily entered a room. No one said anything outright, but she felt it. The quiet judgment, the curiosity dressed up as concern. She kept her head down, focused on spreadsheets and schedules, pretending her life hadn't split into a before and an after. One afternoon, Lily found Ethan alone in his office, staring at a framed photo of Ava from years ago, her gap-toothed smile frozen in time. "I don't know how to do this without hurting someone," he admitted without turning around. "You don't get to control the pain," Lily said softly. "Only how honest you are inside it." He nodded, eyes wet. "I'm trying to be better than the man who avoids hard truths." That evening, Grace came by to pick up Ava. The air felt thick when she and Lily crossed paths in the hallway. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Grace surprised her. "Do you want to walk for a minute?" she asked. They strolled down the quiet street, the sky painted with fading gold. Grace broke the silence first. "I won't pretend this is easy. Some days I wake up angry at you for existing." Lily swallowed. "I would probably feel the same." Grace smiled sadly. "But Ava, she likes you. That matters more than my pride." They stopped near a park where children laughed on swings. Grace looked at Lily's stomach, still barely showing. "I don't know what kind of future this is," she said, "but I don't want it built on bitterness." Lily felt something shift, not relief, but respect. In that moment, think about your own life. What's one small good thing you've done recently, even if no one noticed? Share it in the comments. Your story might remind someone scrolling tonight that kindness still exists. The pregnancy progressed quietly at first. Lily kept it hidden under loose sweaters, but the exhaustion grew heavier. One morning, she nearly fainted in the break room. Ethan caught her just in time, his hands steady but his eyes full of fear. "That's it," he said. "You're not pushing yourself anymore." "I don't want special treatment," Lily protested weakly. "This isn't special," he replied. "This is care." The first ultrasound appointment arrived sooner than Lily expected. She almost went alone, almost, but Ethan insisted on coming. They sat side by side in the dim room, the sound of the machine filling the space. Then the heartbeat echoed. Undeniably alive. Lily's breath hitched. Ethan's hand hovered, uncertain, before she nodded. When his fingers closed around hers, something ancient and grounding passed between them. "That's our baby," he whispered. For the first time, Lily allowed herself to smile without fear. But joy has a way of drawing shadows closer. A letter arrived 2 days later, formal, cold. A complaint had been filed. Conflict of interest. Inappropriate workplace relationship. Ethan read it twice, jaw tightening. This is my fault. It's not, Lily said, though her voice shook. But it might cost you everything. That night, Ethan made a decision without consulting her. The next morning, Lily walked into the office to find his desk empty. Panic clawed at her chest. She found him in the conference room, resignation letter in hand. I can't let them punish you for something I should have handled better, he said. You don't get to disappear, Lily snapped, anger breaking through fear. Not again. Not like Grace did. The words hung heavy. Ethan closed his eyes. I thought stepping away was the right thing. Running feels right in the moment, Lily said, tears spilling. But it leaves wreckage behind. He looked at her then, really looked, at the woman carrying his child, standing her ground despite everything. You're right, he said quietly. I'm tired of running. They met with HR together, told the truth, owned their mistakes without apology for the child growing between them. It wasn't easy. It wasn't clean. But it was honest. Weeks passed. The outcome remained uncertain. One night, Lily sat alone on her couch, the city humming outside. Her phone buzzed with a message from Ethan. No matter what happens tomorrow, thank you for choosing truth with me. She placed a hand over her stomach, feeling a faint flutter, not quite a kick, but close enough to steal her breath. Change was coming. Whether it arrived gently or like a storm, she didn't know. But for the first time, Lily wasn't facing it alone. The decision came on a Thursday morning, wrapped in a tone so calm it felt almost cruel. Lily sat across from the HR director, her palms damp, her back straight despite the nausea rolling through her. Ethan sat beside her, shoulders squared, a quiet shield he didn't announce but fully embodied. The room smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and old paper, the kind of place where lives were reorganized with polite words. We've reviewed everything, the director said, folding her hands. The timing, the power imbalance, the disclosure delay. Lily's heart pounded. Ethan has agreed to step down from his executive role, she continued. However, given the transparency shown and the absence of prior misconduct, termination is not necessary. Ethan exhaled slowly. He'll be moved to a non-managerial position for the next year, she added. And Lily, you'll be transferred to a different department if you choose to stay. If you choose to stay. The meeting ended without ceremony. No apology. No congratulations. Just consequences. In the hallway, Lily leaned against the wall, dizzy with relief and grief tangled together. Ethan stood in front of her, eyes searching her face. I'm sorry, he said. You shouldn't have to move because of me. She shook her head. You stayed. That matters more. They walked out of the building side by side, the city bright and loud around them, unaware of how close everything had come to shattering. That night, Ethan cooked dinner for the first time in weeks. Ava sat at the table, swinging her legs, chattering about school. Lily watched them from the doorway, a hand resting on her stomach, emotions swelling in her chest until it hurt. Is the baby coming soon? Ava asked suddenly. Not yet, Lily smiled. Still growing. Ava nodded seriously. I think they'll like our house. Ethan laughed softly, then froze, realizing what his daughter had just said. Our house, asterisk. Later, when Ava was asleep, Ethan stood on the balcony, staring at the city lights. Lily joined him, the cool air brushing her skin. She already sees you as family, he said quietly. Lily swallowed. That scares me. It scares me too, he admitted. But not because it's wrong. The next weeks passed with a strange rhythm. Ethan adjusted to his new role. Less authority, more humility. Lily moved departments, learning new faces, new routines. Some days were peaceful. Others felt unbearably heavy. Then came the appointment. The doctor's voice was careful, too careful. The room seemed to shrink as Lily listened. There's a complication, the doctor explained. We need to monitor closely. It doesn't mean something bad will happen, but we need to be cautious. Ethan's hand tightened around Lily's. The drive home was silent. That night Lily broke. I can't lose this, she sobbed, curled on the couch. I can't lose another thing. Ethan knelt beside her, forehead pressed to hers. You won't face it alone, he whispered. No matter what happens. Days blurred into worry and waiting. Lily was put on bed rest. Ethan rearranged his life without complaint. Early mornings, late nights, constant presence. Grace showed up one afternoon with soup and folded laundry. "I heard," she said gently, "about the baby." Lily braced herself, but Grace only reached out and squeezed her hand. "Whatever happens, Ava already has more love than most kids ever get." The ultrasound room was quiet again days later. The same dim lights. The same machine. "There it is," the technician smiled. "Heartbeat strong." Lily burst into tears. Ethan laughed, the sound half sob, half prayer. If that moment touched something deep inside you, leave a red heart in the comments. Some emotions are too heavy for words, but they deserve to be felt together. Weeks passed. The danger eased. The baby kicked for the first time. A sharp, unmistakable reminder of life pushing forward. One evening, Ethan stood in the doorway of Lily's apartment, nervous in a way she'd never seen before. "I don't want to rush you," he said, "but I don't want to live separate lives anymore either." He pulled a small key from his pocket. "Move in. When you're ready." Lily stared at it, then at him. All the fear, all the hope, all the pain that had led here. "I'm scared," she said honestly. "So am I," he replied. "But I believe in what we're building." She took the key. Outside, the city breathed on, unaware that something fragile and brave had just been chosen again. Moving in didn't feel like a single decision. It felt like 100 tiny surrenders stitched together. Lily brought only what she needed at first. A suitcase. A box of books. The small framed photo of her mother she always kept by her bed. Ethan cleared space without asking, shifting his life carefully to make room for hers. Ava watched the process with wide-eyed excitement, narrating every step like it was an adventure. "This is your shelf," Ava announced proudly, pointing to a spot already half-filled with Lily's things. "And that's where the baby's toys will go." Lily smiled, but inside, fear still whispered. Because love, once lost, teaches the heart to flinch. The nights were the hardest. Lily would wake up suddenly, breath shallow, hand flying to her stomach. Ethan learned the sound of her fear before she ever spoke it. He'd sit up, wrap an arm around her, and wait until her breathing slowed. No fixing. No explaining. Just presence. But not everything could be held so gently. Grace lingered at the edges of their new normal like a question that refused to fade. She was polite. Involved. Trying. Yet something unresolved lived behind her eyes. One evening, she asked to speak to Ethan alone. They stood on the porch while Lily watched from the window, heart racing. She couldn't hear the words, only see the weight of them. Grace's hands trembled. Ethan's shoulders sagged. When he came back inside, his face was pale. "She wants to try again," he said quietly. The room went still. "She says seeing us, seeing the family I'm building, made her realize what she lost." Lily's throat tightened. "And what do you want?" Ethan didn't answer right away. He looked at Ava's drawings taped to the fridge. At Lily standing there, carrying his child. At the life forming in the space between them. "I want honesty," he said finally. "And I want peace. But I don't want to break what we're building by pretending the past never mattered." That night, Lily couldn't sleep. Forgiveness isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It's a quiet battle between dignity and fear. Be honest, could you forgive someone who once walked away if they came back too late? Type forgive if you think you could, or never if that wound would cut too deep. The next day, Lily asked Grace to meet her. No Ethan. No Ava. Just the two of them. They sat on a bench near the park, leaves crunching underfoot, the world moving casually around a moment that felt anything but. "I won't compete with you," Lily said first. "Not for him. Not for Ava. Love shouldn't be a contest." Grace nodded slowly, tears pooling. "I don't expect him back," she admitted. "I just need to know if I still matter." "You do," Lily said gently. "But not in the same way. And that doesn't make you invisible." Grace covered her face, shoulders shaking. When she looked up again, something had softened. "I left because I was afraid," she whispered. "I thought running meant surviving." Lily placed a hand over her own stomach. Sometimes staying is the bravest thing we ever do. That night, Ethan told Grace the truth, without cruelty, without hesitation. He chose the present. He chose the family forming now. Grace cried, but she listened. And when she left, it wasn't with anger. It was with acceptance. The weeks that followed were quieter. Not easier, but steadier. Then the pain came. Sudden. Terrifying. Lily doubled over in the kitchen, gasping. Ethan caught her before she fell. The hospital lights returned, too bright, too familiar. Doctors moved quickly. Words blurred together. Emergency. Ethan stood frozen as Lily was wheeled away, her eyes locking on his. Stay, she whispered. I'm here, he said, voice breaking. I'm not going anywhere. Hours stretched thin. Ava slept on a chair, Grace beside her, holding her close. No one spoke. No one breathed easily. Then the doctor emerged. She's stable, he said. And so is the baby. But it was close. Ethan sank into the wall, tears finally breaking free. When Lily woke, weak and pale, he was there. Always there. You scared me, he whispered. I scared myself, she replied. He leaned down, pressing his forehead to hers. Whatever comes, I choose you. In that fragile quiet, fear loosened its grip just enough to let something else rise. Faith. Not the kind promised by certainty, but the kind born from staying when leaving would be easier. Recovery was slow, measured in quiet mornings and careful steps. Lily wasn't allowed to do much beyond rest, water, and patience, a discipline that didn't come naturally to her. The apartment settled into a softer rhythm. Sunlight filtered through curtains later than usual. Ava learned to make toast without burning it. Ethan learned how to sit still without feeling useless. Sometimes, Lily would catch him watching her, not anxiously, not possessively, but with something deeper. Gratitude, maybe. As if he were still surprised she was there at all. One afternoon, as rain tapped gently against the windows, Lily felt it again. A strong kick this time. She gasped, instinctively grabbing Ethan's hand. Did you feel that? He froze, then laughed softly when it happened again. His eyes filled, and for a second he couldn't speak. Hey, Lily teased gently through tears. You okay? He nodded, swallowing hard. I just spent so many years thinking I'd already been given my one chance at a family. I didn't know life could be this generous. The baby room came together slowly. Not perfectly. Ava insisted on choosing colors that clashed terribly. Lily let her. Grace dropped off an old crib one evening, standing awkwardly in the doorway. I kept it, she said. Couldn't bring myself to throw it away. Lily hesitated, then smiled. Thank you. They assembled it together, 3 adults with a shared past and a cautious future. It wasn't simple, but it was honest. The day Lily was finally cleared to walk outside again, Ethan took her to the park. They sat on a bench, the same one where she and Grace had once spoken their truths. Children ran past, laughter ringing out like small bells. I used to think happiness was loud, Lily said quietly. Big moments. Big wins. Ethan nodded. I thought it was control. She leaned her head on his shoulder. Turns out it's staying. Weeks later, labor came without warning. Middle of the night. Sudden. Relentless. The drive to the hospital blurred into red lights and sharp breaths. Ethan's voice stayed calm even as fear clawed at his chest. Ava stayed with Grace, clutching her stuffed rabbit, whispering prayers she'd made up herself. Hours passed. Pain crested and broke like waves Lily didn't think she could survive. Ethan never let go of her hand. And then, a cry. Thin. Powerful. Alive. Lily sobbed as they placed the baby in her arms. Ethan laughed and cried at the same time, his forehead pressed to hers, both of them shaking. It's a boy, the nurse smiled. Ava met her brother the next morning. She stared at him seriously, then nodded. I'll protect him, she announced. Ethan smiled, his heart breaking open all over again. If you believe love still wins, even after fear, mistakes, and pain, comment he. Let this space fill with hope. Someone reading right now might need to know that broken beginnings can still lead to beautiful endings. Grace stood in the corner, watching quietly. When Lily caught her eye, Grace smiled, not sadly this time, but warmly. Peace had finally found a place to land. Days later, back home, Lily stood in the doorway of the baby's room, watching Ethan rock their son while Ava read aloud from a picture book. The scene felt unreal, like a moment she'd once been too afraid to imagine. Ethan looked up and caught her staring. "What?" She shook her head, smiling through tears. "Just taking it in." He crossed the room and kissed her forehead. "You stayed." "So did you." Outside, the city moved on, unaware that inside one small apartment, love had chosen to endure. Not perfectly. Not without scars. But completely. The nights grew quieter after that, not because life slowed down, but because it finally settled. The baby slept in short stretches, breathing softly in the bassinet beside Lily's bed. Ethan learned the rhythm of midnight feedings, the gentle art of rocking without pacing. Ava took her role seriously, tiptoeing through the apartment like a guardian twice her size, reminding everyone to whisper. One evening, weeks later, Lily stood alone by the window, watching the city lights blink on one by one. Her body still ached in places she hadn't known could ache. Her heart too, but differently now. Less wounded. More open. Ethan joined her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "You okay?" She nodded. "I was just thinking about who I was before all this." "And?" he asked. "She was scared," Lily said softly. "She thought love always came with a cost too high to pay." Ethan kissed her temple. "And now I know love costs something," she said. "But it also gives back, more than I ever imagined." Grace came by the next afternoon to take Ava for ice cream. As they left, Ava ran back suddenly and hugged Lily tight. "Thank you for not leaving," she whispered. Lily closed her eyes, holding her gently. "Thank you for letting me stay." When the door closed, Lily sat on the couch, the baby sleeping against her chest. She traced his tiny fingers, marveling at how something so small had rearranged every part of her life. Ethan watched her from across the room, heart full and humbled. "I never told you this," he said, breaking the silence. "But after Grace left, I thought maybe I just wasn't someone people stayed for." Lily looked up, eyes shining. "You were wrong." He smiled, a real one, unguarded. "So were you." Later that night, after the apartment had gone still, Lily lay awake listening to the quiet breaths around her. She thought about the woman she'd been in that hospital hallway months ago, terrified, alone, holding a piece of paper that felt like a sentence. She wished she could reach back through time and whisper something to her past self. "You survive this. You don't lose yourself. You gain a family. If this story moved you, don't scroll past quietly. Tap like, not for me, but for the woman who carried fear, judgment, and uncertainty and still chose kindness." One small click can be your way of saying, "I felt this." You weren't alone. Life didn't become perfect after that. There were hard days, arguments, exhaustion, doubt that crept in when no one was looking. But there was also laughter echoing through the kitchen, small hands reaching out in trust, love that didn't run when things got heavy. And Lily learned something she would carry forever, that the bravest thing she ever did wasn't falling in love. It was staying. When leaving would have been easier,